I know we've had twins on, identical twins as that, as our view from the boundary, but they come as a pair off screen and in their most famous movie role, of course. Great followers of cricket, knowing how to hold a bat and how to hold a wand. You'll know them as the Weasley twins from the Harry Potter films, of course, Oliver and James Phelps. It's lovely to have you here, fellas.
Yeah, fabulous.
You haven't done me, have you? Here, you really are the way round. So I've got Oliver here.
Yes.
And I've got James there. So.
Yeah, I'll just take his jacket off.
It's such a cruel thing to do.
I did like Jeffrey until then.
I know. No, I don't. I mean, most people find actually that meeting you is a crushing disappointment. So
Yeah, they always say you should never meet your heroes. So there you go. Yeah.
But you must, all the ribbing and stuff. We'll talk all the Harry Potter stuff in a minute. But you must get it all the time, don't you? When you two together and inevitably talking about identical twins and stuff, do you get absolutely fed up of it?
I guess we're used to it because we've had it ever since we were born. So
Yeah.
who's who? And
So you sound the same. That's James. Just so you know, picture that voice, and that's a check shirt speaking over there. That's James. Okay. Yeah. So carry on. So you do get used to it.
yeah, we get used to it, and it's kind of you give it with a pinch of salt. As long as we're not just referred to as the twins.
Yes.
I think that's where we get a bit grumpy. But apart from that,
And I was spectating before you came on because obviously with the bright red hair that you had through all those years of doing the films, do people? I mean, can you wander around Lords and people not know who you are actually?
It's. I wouldn't say it's. Some people here are necessarily the target Harry Potter audience.
No.
Certainly at Lords.
This
Anyway.
is Oliver, by the way.
This
So
is
get that
yes.
voice in. Yeah.
And the chappie who was searching people when they came in, he noticed me as his hand was around my private bit, shall we say? Which I don't know who was more embarrassed, me or him.
No,
but,
it can be intimate. It's okay, but he did get you.
he did, yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does happen from time to time. So.
But to play such prominent characters for so long, albeit as kids, much of it, for some, for Daniel Radcliffe, I guess, for instance, walking around Lords would be pretty awkward. But for you two, I wonder if it is actually you are relieved a little bit of it.
a little bit, I say, because we've got brown hair now. That's
Yes.
a natural haircut, so we kind of get away with it in that regard. But yeah, you do see people like just today. Actually, you do see people giving it the second glance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you notice it, but you just carry on.
Yeah. More of that later. Let's talk cricket first of all. I mean, isn't this fantastic?
It's amazing. I've never been to it. I've been to Lords a couple of times, but never to see a Test match.
Right.
I mean, our local ground is Edgbaston, so we go there very often.
Not making a noise in the Holly stand, do you? Or-
Normally you've got to contend with the beer snake that's being formed, but I've noticed that in the grandstand here, it's more the champagne corks being popped off people's heads. So it's a little bit different.
It is, but I mean, it is a very special place, isn't it? Go
It
on,
really
watch
is.
It is. It's one of those, like Oliver was saying, that Edgbaston's are the place where we normally go. We've actually got a great photo of our grandmother a couple of years ago, when she's 93 now, but at the time she was well into her 80s, and there's a picture of her with the Barmy Army.
Oh, really?
In Holliston. So,
That's very game. That's
Yes.
one game granny, that is, I'd say.
so no, we love our cricket in our family. But
Yes.
Yeah, it's something very special about Lords and just the feel and the atmosphere. And
Yes.
I think also there's respect in cricket of all forms, but especially here at Lords when someone hits a great shot, home team or away team, everyone still gives the applause.
It does try and be very balanced, doesn't it? So, but do you like the noisy stuff as well? I mean, do you happily go into the Holly stand and live it up? You do?
Yeah, I'm. To be honest, I do enjoy that part. Like this is nice and everything because it's separate, but I think there is when you do get to have a good sing-song,
Yes.
it adds to the day, and I think that's good for the growth of the game as well. To people who wouldn't necessarily say, "I don't want to go to the cricket, just sit around all day." It is a full day, and you can do a lot more with it. I've been very lucky to follow England abroad as well.
Right.
Which is
So,
very good.
that's doing a hard yard. It's
Yeah,
a badge of honour there.
It kind of started with, I said to my wife, do you want to go to, she was my girlfriend at the time, do you want to go to Australia for a couple of weeks? That'd be great. And I plotted out, and she said, oh, you've really thought this through. And then halfway, when we got the connection in Dubai, I said, we're going to Perth to the Test match, and then we're going to the Boxing Day Test, and then we're going to the Sydney Test, which I guess with the result how the cricket ended up, that's karma for you, really. So it's,
But that was the last term.
this was 2013.
Oh, that was horrible.
It really was, but
Yeah.
at the same time, to watch Australia play the way they did, you
Yeah.
could only really appreciate like Mitchell Johnson bowling how he was
Absolutely.
and everything else. And it was always good to see a different thing. And the great thing, like talking about stadiums and Lords being different in places, the cool thing about every cricket ground is different, and it's got its own qualities.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes you go. Did she forgive you?
She did actually, yeah. She vowed that she probably wouldn't rush the other side of the world to watch England play again after that.
You'll have to go again.
Yeah, I did say that to her, so she'll thank me for that. Actually, on our wedding day, I learned from getting married it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I packed a cricket set in the boot of the car, and after the speeches and everything, we set it up we got married in the reception held in an old castle, and in the courtyard we had the stumps and everything set up. And the best photo I've got the whole day is me bowling at her batting. And she hit it to six as well. Yeah,
Oh. Oh dear, and we brag about that. Are you being totally honest, James, at the moment with your? Because you're getting married soon.
I am in
a little whisper tells me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all good. So I've done pretty well. I went to the Open earlier this week, and
right.
I'm down here at the weekend. So
little old change.
Getting it all in now.
I know. Nothing. Have you been tempted to travel as well and watch the cricket?
I have. Yeah. I'd love to go to, so I know the Indian tour's coming up, so
yes.
that'd be pretty cool to go and check out. I don't know if I'll be able to make it this time, but...
Honeymoon in Vishakhapatnam?
yeah, maybe. We'll see.
If you sell that, I think that would be a
I think so, yeah. But no, it's definitely something. I was very jealous when Oliver was sending all the photos back, and on Christmas Day we did the Skype to Australia, and
right.
he and his wife had just come back with the Barmy Army for Christmas Day and everything.
Yeah, our Christmas Day dinner was in the I forget the name of the big casino complex now in Melbourne.
Oh yes,
the Crown.
Yes.
And there was there was probably about 120 guys, 6 women. And they were very nice. They put all the women on one table, but it just turned into a big boys' day out with Billy the trumpeter playing the carols and everyone singing.
It was proper fun.
It was fantastic.
Yeah,
really good.
And would you do it again, having experienced it? Would you do it that way again, or would you move around a bit and do it another way?
I probably would do, because it wasn't like we just went for the cricket. We did spend, after the cricket finished, we got a big camper van and drove up from Sydney to Cairns. Then every night we'd stop and they'd have the I forget the name, Big Bash on the TV, so we watched a bit of that, and it was fantastic. I wouldn't change anything.
It's horrid being a Pom in Australia when they're losing, though.
It was, but I mean, at the time, luckily, I just kept bringing them back to their rugby, and they kept a bit quieter after.
Yeah. And so, playing wise, James. Let's start with you. I mean, did you play at school?
We played a little bit, but when we got the Harry Potter gig, we weren't allowed to play anymore because if you get injured or something, then they can't really claim the insurance to, especially an American insurance company. How did he hurt himself playing cricket? I think that'd be a.
That's really sad. What, about the age of 14 or so?
Yeah, 14, and we couldn't play anymore. So that's every sport, pretty much, any contact sport as well. So rugby, football, everything was gone. So we then picked it up about 5 years ago or so. We started playing for the Bunburys.
Oh, David English and co.
Yeah. So my first game went okay, but Tuffers was actually on the team, and so he literally threw the ball to me from. I was trying to just stay out of the way. I didn't want to bowl or anything else, and I was given the ball to bowl. I think I went no ball, wicket. I ended up getting like 2 for 12 or something like that. So I was quite happy with that.
Yeah, they're good fun those days.
Yeah, very. And then actually the best cricket game I've been a part of was Ian Botham's birthday last year at the Getty.
Yes, correct. Wormsley.
Wormsley, yeah, fantastic ground, really beautiful. And somehow we were on the team with.
Well, you were on.
I was. Yeah. So they said, "What do you want to people? What do you want to bat? What do you want to bat? 4 or 5. Hopefully, it won't go that. Won't get in." And so all of a sudden, I ended up being called in, and Shane Warne's coming the other way. He's just been out, so I'm replacing Shane Warne. And then it was
a normal Saturday, really.
It was a normal Saturday. I ended up having the game of my life. I was 46 not out.
Guffey was really annoyed as well.
Guffey was a bit cross.
He was sending them down.
Did you hit him?
I hit him a few times.
Well done. I know, we all approve of that.
And then, and then like Glenn McGrath was also coming, so I was back at the cruise with Glenn McGrath.
Well, he wouldn't have stayed very long.
No, he didn't. He was actually bowled by Piers Morgan.
That's a terrible way to go.
But then, I was just one, and I hit Oliver a few times around the field as well.
Oh,
so,
wow. Do you remember that?
Which is great. I'm remembering it a bit differently now.
We're in the slips. There was Strauss and then a few who was the captain. It was just as a big cricket fan, it was just a dream come true.
Not to be able to play from 14. I mean, they're really formative years, really, isn't it? I mean,
it's when you learn your skills, you do everything else. So I'd have to say that. I mean, our I've always had an interest in cricket anyway, coming from my grandfather and my nan. But at the same time, in later life, when we've been playing with the Bunburys, we both can say we owe it all to Dave English for getting us involved with cricket and being able to show us. Oh no, you should have. I'll tell you what. I'll set you up with Jim Troughton at Warwickshire, and he'll show you how to go in the nets. So I'd go in the nets and have a bat with him and Dougie Brown, and actually Wokesy was in the bay next to me, and he threw a few down. So I'm so glad that he's having such a great Test match, and hopefully he can establish
Isn't it
himself.
bizarre what's happened in your lives, and that just from playing obviously very well, these two rather bizarre characters for all these years, the whole sort of world opens up as well, doesn't it? Not just a wonderful job and setting up your life, but
Very much, it gets into place.
have this sort of contact with sportsmen and not just cricket but golf and other sports that you love. It's incredible how it's opened doors.
I think, especially because we're huge sports fans anyway, and it's what's great is that you meet people you wouldn't think would be big fans of them, but they're like quite a lot of rugby players are big Harry Potter fans, which is quite a bizarre a bizarre thing. But and then obviously all the cricket guys we've met, I don't think we've met one nasty cricket player.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Which is
nice
really nice to.
I'll tell you a little story. It's quite funny.
Apart from Jeffrey Boycott.
He's obviously gone down, and quite right in your estimation. I interviewed Daniel Radcliffe on his 18th birthday here, over in the grandstand there, and he was tiny. He was probably
He still is.
But anyway, he confessed that he queued up down here, and 18 years old. Thought, how long would that have been? 10 years or so ago, I suppose. I think. And again, he did look very sporty, the kid, and he'd gone down here and with his autograph sheet. So I said to him, do people recognise you? He said, well. He said, he'd gone down there with his autograph, and he'd got Andrew Strauss's autograph, who just signed it without realising he had signed Daniel Radcliffe's bit of paper with autograph. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, he was totally sort of anonymous.
No.
So that was quite good. I liked it. Anyway. So favourite players wise, I mean, who was big or
All the time, probably Brian Lara. Yeah. I remember.
Well, from Edgbaston, I suppose.
I mean, I was probably about 10 when he got that huge score. But I remember going to the test in 2004. It was when England played the Windies, and he was bowled out, I think, second ball. And it was the whole crowd almost just went. And it was a shame because he was obviously made his name there a few years before. But yeah, probably him and
lovely players.
and also and I think the cool thing about it is that you've been able to watch these guys and you kind of. No, I should have thought this question may have been coming, but I can't really remember any others. There's so many.
So I'm going on a cricket radio show, and I might get asked who your
I should have thought about that,
shouldn't you? I'm pretty sure he doesn't prepare for anything.
How do you learn your lines?
Well, I don't know.
It's prompted,
and well, you've obviously prepared your favourite question type ones. I mean, who would you have as your?
I'd say probably Jimmy Anderson. Watching when he's seeing him getting fired up and everything. He's like off the field. I've met him a couple of times. And a very nice guy, and I've heard he's not.
He's not the
same.
I can believe it because we met him once, and he was very humble, quiet chap. And the next day you see him out there, and he's
blistering and raging.
So it just shows the difference in the personality the other side of the room.
It does. Well, and I guess like acting, which that you somehow expect actors to be the characters they play, which also is ridiculous. But there's you two as 14-year-olds. Or 13-year-olds ago, when the audition started. What was the process? I mean, had you got your eye on this? How did you even know that these parts were coming up?
Well, we essentially learned we saw in one of our friends of our mothers told us that in the one of the local or the national papers they were doing open auditions for the movies, and we knew there were twins in it. We'd read the first book, well, the first couple actually at school, so we knew they were twins. So we thought, at worst, it's a day off school and we make it in the film. And you should always stay in school, but we didn't that day. And so we drove up to Leeds, which is where in the big grand hotel in Leeds, and thousands of kids going for all different roles. Yeah. And we know there were loads of twins there, and we realised we were the only ones not dressed the same. So we thought, well, maybe we're missing a trick. So we ran over to whatever supermarket. Shop was over the road, grabbed two shirts off the same rack.
It was C&A that was.
I remember that. And then we ended up, waited for 2 hours, and you witnessed. That was the first time we noticed the pushy hair, and that was quite an interesting.
You must see my child with glasses with no lenses in.
Yeah, it was quite bizarre.
There's loads of that going on.
And then we ended up waiting for 2 hours, and it was like sliding doors, door on the left, door on the right. So we ended up going the door on the left, which just happened to have the head casting director. Janet, who ended up liking what she saw, and
Yes.
then we got called back. The next
Can you remember what you
week.
had to do? Was it something?
It was
One line.
It was just one line, and
One
then
line?
yeah, and it was. I remember thinking, oh, okay, this is different to how I thought it. But I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that.
Isn't that an extraordinary? Just literally one line.
One line, and then we had about 5 meetings after that. Again, auditions where you get more lines and stuff with the director and the producer, and then it ends up as a screen test. So you're on a set with the director, and there's a camera rolling and everything to see how you go. And then the next day they said, yeah, we want these guys to be.
And that's over about 6 weeks, so pretty much bang on the summer holidays.
Isn't that incredible?
And so we went to school. Well, we left school saying to people, "Yeah, we're going for an audition," and then we joined school like the term with ginger hair, saying, "Welcome to movies." So
Well, now, this is the bit. I mean, that must be incredible too. I mean, the transformation for you two. When did you discover? Or I mean, I wasn't clear in the books or so. But I mean, well, are they violently ginger in the book? So you knew that you were going to have to do this.
But we weren't sure whether it was going to be a wig or what. And so they ended up saying, "Yeah, would you like to have your hair dyed ginger?" And as a 14-year-old lad, it's kind of like,
I'm going to go to school with red hair. Yeah, that'd be fine.
So
no one will say a word. Yeah,
but it ended up being.
I always stick up for the gingers, by the way. I think they had a hard time.
They did, yeah, they did. But it was good actually in a way, because it got you properly involved when you were working, and then I actually went pretty much 5 years just having ginger hair, and then we had a bit of a hiatus between 2 films, so we ended up going back to our normal hair colour, which was quite a nice thing.
But your peers at school would, first of all, I imagine, teased you relentlessly for turning up with this ginger hair.
Yeah.
But then actually, hey, hang on, a couple of films in, whoa, we're at school with these superstars.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It came in when we did a school trip to London, and we were just like one of the class kind of thing, and we were in the school trip in Covent Garden. An American girls' school walked past, and they recognised us, and they all wanted a photo, and all of a sudden, actually, that's pretty cool that they're in this film. And all of a sudden, they all dived in.
Absolutely.
And, yes, I still remind them of that.
It must have been great fun because, we mentioned Dane Rack already, but the others two are all the same age, and he's kind of setting out on this thing all together. Did it feel like that? Really?
It did. Yeah, I mean, the best way I would describe it is when you start school with people, or start university with the same group of people. You're going on a journey with each other. But I don't think any of us. We all knew that it was a big film. It was a big budgeted film. But would you say that we'd be there 11, 12 years later?
Amazing.
Maybe not.
When did you think it did dawn on you that there was a potential for this really to go very big?
I think probably after the third film.
Right.
And then gradually it just got bigger and bigger till the last premiere. They took over Trafalgar Square, and it was the longest red carpet in history. And there were people who were flying in probably 3 or 4 days before just to sit in Trafalgar Square to watch us go in to see a film.
Yeah.
They weren't seeing the film themselves, so it's got a huge following, which is, we're very, very fortunate to be part of it.
Yeah. And you've got all these sort of kids on set together.
Yeah.
How did that work too? Did you have reminders and people looking after you?
To start with, everyone had like chaperones and stuff, but then come the age of like 17, 18, it was more free range.
Yeah.
when you were behind
Which is
the
probably when you need a chaperone more.
I thought it probably was.
Especially when you're waiting around a lot, and there could be a little something to relieve the boredom, So we'd end up getting a few golf clubs and realising we could drive the fence at the bottom of the studios and stuff like that. So I shouldn't say that.
No, you shouldn't. but was it fun doing it, or was it actually very disciplined and hard work and relentless, and or somewhere in between?
It was pretty much always good fun. There were some days which were pretty tough if you're doing either an emotional scene or just a long day, especially the green screen. We kind of call it green screen syndrome because everything's just green. Even when you go outside, all you can see all day is green, but it's
because of what's behind you and what's going to be projected. Well, digitally imposed. Sort of thing.
Fortunately, that didn't happen quite a lot, but it was. Apart from that, that was it. We were very lucky otherwise.
Yeah. Do you still stay in touch with
your
peers?
A few of the guys actually. We, I wouldn't say it's a daily thing, but we'll be messaging back and forth about some things, or if we're in America, say, and a few guys are in the same town, we'll go and play golf together, or just go and grab a bite to eat or stuff, which to us is fine. But you sometimes see other people looking in and saying, "Oh, they must be filming something," because no one has a life outside of it.
No. Which I was telling me that you recorded the TMS and listened to it. It was you, Jamie.
Yeah, I did.
Listened to all. Where were you driving?
I was driving from Los Angeles to San Francisco, which on a map doesn't look that far, but when you do it, it's about 8 hours.
Yes.
And I thought, what's about 8 hours long? And then obviously I love the game of cricket, so whatever Test match was on at the time. Because of the time difference, I couldn't really listen to it live, but then so I downloaded the full day's play, and my pal from LA jumped in the car with me and we drove up, and you literally drive through the desert for most of the journey, and by the end of it he pretty much knew what standing in fine leg and all
That's
that
commitment.
stuff
That
sounded
is
like.
commitment, though.
Yeah, but it was I love it, and I was saying to her, this is actually a dream come true being on this programme, so thank you very much for having us.
Oh, you're sopping. You died, didn't you? Actually, let's get back to that.
Yes, I
What
did.
was that like?
Yeah.
Watching your twin brother there in front of you, flat out.
It was bizarre. It was a bit different for me doing it than James doing it, because he was just laid on a stretcher.
It was the easiest day of my
Yeah.
acting career. That.
But for me, it was,
But I guess it's very realistic, was it?
it was, yeah, it was, because I was trying to. You need to try. So luckily we had a lot of the older actors there who had done countless stuff, been won numerous awards. So I was able to ask one or two of those, what would you do? What's the best way to do it? And basically the feedback was, if you can get into that mindset before you leave your trailer, your dressing room, whatever. So you're already in a downer, so you related to, say, when a family member had died or someone close to you would. So you're already in a downer anyway. And then you get on set, and then James is there with all white makeup on, and it's quite bizarre. And then you get a makeup girl come up to you and blow eucalyptus spray in your eyes, so you start streaming with that, so you're crying.
Oh, that's the stuff they use.
Yeah, which it works really well. And I remember thinking, oh, it must be a closed set, which is basically when it's just the director, the cameraman, and the guys acting. But it was in the Great Hall in Hogwarts, which is quite big anyway, and it was a full set, so all these extras were there and other supporting cast, and I was, okay. And I think we did about 3 or 4 takes, and then they got what they needed, I was glad actually, because it was quite tiring doing it. But subsequently, since I've read, never believe everything you read on the internet, because people send me stuff. Is this true? And there's like the big story about me breaking down, crying for real, and James and I embracing and all this. And it's very poetic, but it never happened like that. We actually left James sleeping on the floor after that.
And it must have been difficult because you are, in a way, obviously you're having to put yourself in that position of seeing your brother dying.
Yeah, it was very.
Dead, but at the same time saying, hang on, it's not real, this, you know.
No, it was very. It was a hard line to get into. It was a hard thing to jump in and out of. But at the same time, it was a good job that it was only that one time, and it was towards the end of filming as well.
Yeah.
So it made it all seem very real that we were starting to close down this journey we've been on for so long.
Are you? You probably heard when I was talking earlier. Are you two like the Bedsers, who deliberately wore the same suit every day, the same tie every day? They actually took a great pleasure out of stitching people up, really.
Yeah.
And not knowing who they were.
The only time we ever do that is, I'd say, when the bill for dinner comes and James leaves it to me. Yeah, that's
I
not
just
bad.
disappear. I don't even try and pretend to be him. But we kind of go the other way. To be honest with you, we dress differently. Oliver wears jackets which are too tight for him.
Yes, obviously.
Allegedly, yeah.
And so we're pretty different in that regard. But usually, obviously, what happens playing twins is kind of an industry standard, I guess, that they want you to wear the same thing at least once a gig. So we're kind of used to that now.
Yeah. But do you find yourself actually striving really hard to be individuals? I mean, so you're not necessarily as a pair all the time. I mean, if you've gone off and done different things, work-wise, quite deliberately, so split yourselves up.
Yeah, and you do have to get into your mindset that some people, I think we do both agree that some people are very ignorant of the fact that some people think that they're twins, they do everything the same, they've got the same thing, that's it, which is that's not true at all. We're human beings.
Do you think some do, though?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure people do. Like I've seen grown men and women in their 50s and 60s wearing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Which to me just blows my mind.
I know there's some people, like even in work-wise, some people are quite reluctant to see you for a part because you're a twin. Some people can't separate you as an individual, which sometimes is quite annoying, obviously, if you want to work. But what's great is that other guys are really keen to give you that opportunity to prove that you can
do it by yourself,
kind of thing.
Yeah. Because I suppose, in some ways, going way back to that audition again, I mean, the fact that you're auditioning as identical twins cuts a hell of a lot of people out. I mean, if you weren't going for Harry Potter, for instance.
No, it certainly helped.
That would have been ironic, though, wouldn't it?
It would have been.
But I remember we did an interview when someone had the promotional tours, and this presenter had done no research, no notes or anything, who we were, what film we were in, anything. And he said, "So you guys?"
Not this one, really.
So he basically, well, we basically sat down, and the guys went, "So what do you guys do then?" And we looked and said, what do you mean? He said, oh, Bobby, so you're the twins, right? Are you brothers? And we had him going for about 10 minutes that we just met at the audition. And it's all being translated. So he's just looking at it going, oh yeah, okay. And the guy from the company is just, his head is in his hands. Just, yeah, oh dear.
But have you done one or two things that perhaps you're a bit ashamed of in stitching people up or not? When you were kids? When you were at school?
The worst, I want to say about school, I know there was...
Teachers, surely you must have had some fun with them.
I got told off once for, I was in the gym at the school on the bike, and I was really happy with what I was doing, like pace and everything going really well. And this PE teacher comes in shouting at me and going wild. And I was sorry, what have I done? You didn't do cross country because you said you've got a funny knee.
Oh.
And this was in year 8 or so. And he thought I was just messing him about. And to this day, I don't think James even told the guy that.
Oh right, well that's why good. That's getting you into trouble.
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's normally that way around.
Yeah.
He came home saying, "Can you go and tell him that you're fine? That it's your knee."
I was walking around Berlin after that. I didn't get in trouble.
No, it must be extraordinary. But you made it very easy for me to do anyway. And the films, I mean, and the whole world around these films now. This goes on, doesn't it, with these sort of conventions and what was the one I saw? The Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
The theme parks in.
Yes.
There's 2 in America, 1 in Japan, 1 in.
There's the museum here, like the exhibition. The exhibition, sorry, was travelling around. It's travelled all around the world. We were in Brussels last week opening that.
Really?
And then there's also the studio tour here in just outside of London, near Watford, and it's huge.
Yeah.
It still doesn't. It's still hard for me to grasp how big it is because we've literally travelled to every part of the world with it.
So you go and what? You sort of wave to the fans.
Occasionally, yeah, you get a phone call from Warner Brothers saying, if you're free in a couple of weeks' time, do you fancy coming out to X?
Well, I remember the once where they said, okay, so we need to. I know you guys are going to Florida for the opening of the theme park exhibit there. I said, yes. Would you mind awfully if you came to Sydney as well straight after?
Oh.
It's terrible. It really is terrible. So it was. I mean, we've been so fortunate with it, and we love doing it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've got a good rapport with the family.
Do you have ambition? I mean, you've done obviously very, very well out of this and very successful and it's set up for life. But do you have ambition to do more work? I mean, only 30.
Oh yeah,
Like,
definitely, yeah. I think it's
pretty
always good to
fortunate
do
in
that.
that we have been quietly busy, like just not necessarily major things, but we're still quietly going along. And I love theatre work and everything like
Yes.
that, so I'm hoping to do something like that later in the year. And just everything about it. I love the touring, like doing the promo stuff and everything for Potter. It kind of made me realise I love touring and just seeing all over the place, all over the world even. And especially when you travel, you can tie it into different things. Actually, we were in Adelaide, and we ended up going round the Adelaide Oval.
Oh, yes.
And
Is it lovely? Beautiful ground.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
We ended up
it's
going
amazing.
in the school board and pulling the numbers and everything. And they're saying how it gets to about 50 degrees in there in the summer.
I can believe it.
And it was just like, there's this one Aussie guy sitting there, and I was like, how do you cope? And he just kind of like points to a crate of beer in the corner. So it was,
But I think it's, well, apart from here, obviously, but I think it's my favourite ground.
Yeah.
Love it. And you missed it last time, eh?
Yeah, well, when I was there last time, we missed it, but we went through Adelaide, but it was still a construction site at the time,
Yeah.
so rebuilding it. But when we've been back since and it's all finished, they've done a remarkable job there.
Yeah, they have.
It's
I
really
think that's
good,
good.
yeah.
And are you striking off and doing things, Oliver, as well? Are you?
Yeah, as James said, there's other stuff in the pipeline. We've got a project in the States we're working hard at at the moment, and then there's always looking to do more stuff. Just 'cause acting is such a cool thing to be able to do, and it's even better when you're filming it. Is certainly if you're doing film. Later on, when people have seen it, you get the reaction,
Yes.
as opposed to when you are filming it.
Correct.
We did a TV show last year with the BBC, which aired about 8 weeks or so. It's quite a quick turnaround, 8 weeks after we filmed it, and the reaction from people then was great because you think, oh, I remember doing that bit. Yeah.
There's a stage plays and everything. Harry Potter, is that coming?
Yeah,
soon?
it's out now in
Yeah.
London, I believe.
Right.
So,
you haven't been.
I'm going in a couple of weeks' time, so that should be really exciting. So.
How will that work then? Do you think? I mean, it will obviously go well on a smaller.
I believe that it's 2 shows in one day,
Right.
so it's quite a day watching. But apparently, I've heard a couple of people have seen it and they said it's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Well, we're almost through to lunch here. What are you expecting to see here? You're going to stay around and watch the cricket?
Oh, I'll be watching it vigorously. I was hoping actually at the start of the innings that England were going to skittle them all out
I know.
by the end of the day. I don't know. As I said earlier, I'd love Wokesy. Been such a nice chap to get some more
Yes.
wickets. Also, Steve Finn. We actually played in a charity game here last year with the Bunburys on the nursery ground, and Finney bowled one arm spin right-handed, normal left arm, and then full place with the right arm. And this was when he was in and out of the England team.
Yes.
But his mindset was fantastic.
Is it?
Absolutely.
He's a
brilliant.
very nice man.
Really
isn't he?
nice chap.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully they'll be doing better. I think there's a few guys playing. I'm actually playing up in your neck of the woods in Uppingham next couple of weeks.
Yes,
time.
are you?
For the Taverners, yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up some tips watching that. And
Oh,
then
you
we've
can.
got another Bunbury's game. I think
can't see you.
I think that's on the 11th of August.
Yeah.
The 11th of August, and then there's another Bunbury game towards the end of August.
Well, it's a lovely, Uppingham School Ground's a beautiful ground, you know.
Yeah, I've heard good things. So
Yeah,
I'll be paying close attention to how these guys are going to be.
Steaming in off the long run
Steaming in,
there for many years. Well, it's lovely to have met you both. It really is. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy, and you are really, Oliver, and you are really, James. aren't you?
Yes.
You haven't done me for the last 35 minutes.
Don't let on.
We won't let on.
There we go.
Great to see you both. The Weasley twins, James and Oliver Phelps. Lovely to have them here.